So it's a brand new day. It's the first trading day for the new week, and this is the month of May. Today is the 5th, of May 2025. Yeah, thanks for that, Adeko Ishegun. Madam Onaji, good morning, ma. And Akorede Olukoya. So it's a brand new month. This is the 5th month of the year. Appraise yourself, January to April. What's your result like in trading? Have you been profitable overall, or you still, mixing a little thing here and there, mixing it up? Just try to fine tune your strategy. But most importantly, like I always say, try to stick with the analysis we give on this platform. It will go a long way in making you profitable. You see, the essence of this analysis, it's actually an educative platform where we show you how to properly analyze the market and be able to pick trades, even for yourselves when we're not here. But then if you're still new to all this, just follow what we give you, and you will just be as good as fine and being profitable as a trader. And if you want more signals, like I always say, then get yourself into our signal group, which is for our funded, strictly for our funded clients. So if you're in the platform, you don't have an account with PU Prime, you've been taking free services. Well, if you want premium service, then you need to be funded on PU Prime and be in our funded client groups, which is our signal group, where you get more signals than what we give in the analysis session. All right, with that being said, let's go into what we have for today and even for this week. Now, this week, we'll look first at the fundamentals, and we'll go over to the technicals to check the charts and see what is expected of the market this week. Today, Monday, there's going to be an all-day bank holiday in Japan. So we need to trade the JPY pairs with a lot of caution. So trade JPY pairs with a lot of caution. And 7:30 a.m. this morning, there's going to be CPI from Switzerland. Good morning, Ken Odini. There's going to be CPI from Switzerland. So take note, that is roughly 19 minutes from now. And okay, I'll show you the pair I'm looking at, for that in the course of the analysis. And there's going to be an all-day bank holiday in United Kingdom also today. So trade the GBP pairs also with a lot of caution. 3 p.m. today, there'll be ISM Services PMI from the United States. I'll just take note of the key events because of our time. And the important event tomorrow will happen in the night. So if you're there, you're a swing trader, or you want to stay awake to trade it, that will be the New Zealand employment change and unemployment rate. This is the NFP version of from New Zealand. It will come up by 11:45 p.m. tomorrow. Volatility is expected, so you can still stay awake to trade that and make some money. And on Wednesday, the key events on Wednesday will be federal fund rates, FOMC statement, and FOMC press conference. Now, this is actually a huge event from the United States coming up by 7 p.m. on Wednesday. It's one of the most volatile events after the NFP and the CPI. So a lot of volatility is expected on the dollar on Wednesday by 7 p.m. in the evening. And Thursday is a day that is loaded with a lot of news from the United Kingdom. And there are about 4 events I can see here, which are all high impact events. And we're going to be having the BOE monetary policy report, monetary policy summary, MPC official bank rate, and official bank rate votes. Everything talks about the interest rate. When you see bank rates, cash rates, they are all around the interest rate. So that will be released by 12 p.m. on Thursday, and I will encourage you to try to trade this. This is just going to be in the afternoon, so you can plan your time, to be available to trade this on Thursday. We're not going to be trading it live, but then we can guide you on how to trade it during the analysis session. And on Thursday again by 1:30 p.m. there'll be unemployment claims from the United States. That is actually going to bring about some volatility also in the market. So Thursday is a day loaded with activities which can give you some, profit if you position yourself correctly. And finally, on Friday, the key event on Friday is from Canada, and that's the Canadian employment change and unemployment rate, which comes up by 1:30 p.m. on Friday. So the Canadian employment change unemployment rate by 1:30 p.m. on Friday. Watch out for that. That's Canada's version of NFP. A lot of volatility, is anticipated to take place in the market on that particular day. All right. With that being said, I'll switch over right now to the chart. We'll look at what to expect in the market, both for today and for the week. All right. We start by checking the dollar index. Now, we held a bullish outlook on the dollar for the last week NFP, though the data didn't come out as expected and the volatility was not strong enough to push the trade into profit. So we had to close at break even. But then the outlook still remains. If you remember during the analysis for NFP, I said that price may, you know, drop into this zone and break out up there. It actually went up a little, but like I said, we didn't have as much push as possible. So price came back to that support zone, trying to form a double bottom pattern. So we still anticipate that break, into the bullish direction on the dollar index this week. This dollar index on the 4-hour time frame. And don't forget, there has been an initial inverse head and shoulder here, which led to the breakout up there, retracement, double bottom. Now we expect a further breakout in the course of the week. If the data from the United States comes out good for the dollar, it will support all these technicals, and we expect to see a higher move in the dollar, for this week. Now, since we have a bullish outlook on the dollar based on what we're seeing, on the dollar index, then we'll be anticipating a bullish movement on the USD CHF. We still have that bullish outlook on the USD CHF. USD CHF is still very much forming the inverse head and shoulder, which started last week, and we anticipate a further breakout in the bullish direction in the course of the week. The idea here is to give you direction so that if you're trading with your own personal strategy, you will know the direction to trade these specific instruments. And for the USD CHF, I remember there was a trend line here, which is also giving us that bullish outlook. So you can see that price is still bouncing off that trend line, forming lower lows, and when you have lower lows, we expect a breakout in the bullish direction. So it's still very much in line with what we saw on the dollar index. So we still maintain a bullish outlook on the USD CHF, and we might anticipate an entry if price is able to break above this recent high, and that's very important. Now you can see that the current 4-hour candle is showing some bullish sentiment. So if price breaks above this minor resistance here, then that could be a time to trigger a buy on the USD CHF, and our confirmation should be that RSI is clearly above 50, and that will see price break into the bullish direction. So we remain bullish on the USD CHF, and this is purely swing. It's a 4-hour setup. Though if you want to trade this on a lower time frame, you can still come down to like 15 minutes if you do more of the shorter time frame. Since the sentiment is bullish, you might wait for a breakout, above the trend line on the 15-minute time frame, so that can give you an early entry. If price is able to break out above this region here, yeah, you can catch some very quick entry there. So the choice is yours, either as a day trader, or you to enter early, or you want to wait as a swing trader for price to break out above the 4-hour zone. So you can trade it based on your own personal trading style, but generally we are bullish on the USD CHF. And for the Euro USD, now since we are bullish on the USD and even the USD CHF, we expect some bearish movement on the Euro USD in the course of the week. Though this has to be traded with a lot of caution. But then looking at the Euro USD on the weekly time frame, let me even go down to the monthly. Starting from the monthly time frame, we can see that there is a descending trend line here, where last month, this is a lower high, and another lower high. So technically, we should be looking for a bearish movement, and that's from the monthly time frame. And on the weekly time frame, we can clearly see that we have a reversal candlestick pattern here, which is looking a lot like a shooting star. And the shooting star should actually point us into the bearish direction, which is in line with what we saw on the monthly time frame. So drawing down to the daily time frame, all right, so we have a descending trend line on the monthly time frame, a shooting star on the weekly, and on the daily time frame, we can see we have a rising wedge, which is equally indicative of a bearish breakout. However, there is a resistance turn support zone here that price needs to clearly break, before we have that massive bearish movement, we are anticipating. And if we go back to the weekly time frame, we'll see that that resistance turn support is a very strong one, from this previous resistance here on the Euro USD, which has now become a support here. So if price is able to break that zone, I tell you, we'll have a massive bearish breakout on Euro USD. So we watch that zone carefully, as the week unfolds. And you can see that on 4 hour, it's also giving us a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and we're anticipating that drop. So we wait carefully for price to break this zone to trigger a sell on the Euro USD. So we're bullish on the USD CHF, we're bearish on the Euro USD in the course of the week, except there's a change in market structure. That's still my view of the market as at this moment that we speak. All right, with that being said, I have all I've said so far actually more of swing setup, except for the USDC that actually gave a 15 minutes possible entry. I'll show you a setup now that can be traded in the course of today on an intraday level, that is 1 hour, and that will be the AUD card. The AUD card. All right. So this is the AUD card, and price currently on AUD card is trading around a support turned resistance on the daily time frame. Okay, Gifted Hands is saying my network is not stable. Is that true? Can I confirm that from every other person? Can you all hear me clearly? If I need a confirmation, let's know. Okay, Matthew is saying very clear. Trust Udo is saying it's from his end. Prince Davidson is saying, what's Prince Davidson saying? He's saying yes, but it's breaking. Debbie clear, Gabriel clear here. Lucky loud and clear. Madam Onaji very clear. Ken Odini. So I think for those who are complaining, it could be a network percent on your end, because I have more people saying they can hear me clearly from their end. So I think the majority carries the vote here. Not unlike the Nigerian Senate, though. That's by the way. So the majority carries the vote. Most of the people can hear me clearly. So let's just go with that. So you might have to just check maybe your network. Probably you refresh your network, and I believe everything will be fine. All right. So back to the AUD card. We're still on the daily time frame on the AUD card, and we have price hit a support zone. Still a support here, broke the support. Now going back to that support as a resistance, technically we expect, some bearish movement on the AUD card. So we flip down to 1 hour, and this is what we can see on 1 hour on the AUD card. We have our trend line there, and a second one to give us a perfect looking rising wedge pattern. So in the course of today, we're going to anticipate a breakout in the bearish direction on this instrument. So I will encourage us to put a lot of our attention on the AUD card for an intraday trade today. Even if you flip it down to 15 minutes, it's still the same thing. So if 1 hour entry is not your thing, you like to enter on 15 minutes, you are still covered, with this setup on AED card. AED card is an intraday setup we're looking at in the course of today. So the question is, how do we trade this? I'm bearish on this. So how do we trade this? We'll wait for price to break out below this lower trend line. Once a new candle, you know, opens below that lower trend line and our RSI is clearly below 50, then we can safely trigger a sell on AUD card. So we're bearish on AUD card. And I can't give a signal now because it's not fully formed enough for me, at least to the probability level. I will give a signal. But in the course of the day, if that happens, I will surely drop in the groups. And potential profits can reach between 38 pips to about 55 pips on this trade setup. So watch this closely in the course of today. We are strongly bearish on AUD CAD. I'll give two other setups as we begin to round up, and that's on the JPY PS. The JPY, we are looking closely at the JPY, and I'll be looking at the CHF JPY and the GBP JPY. Okay, I'll start with the GBP JPY, then we'll go to the CHF JPY. Now, for the GBP JPY on the weekly time frame, we can clearly see that price is trending downwards with a descending trend line, and price closed. We're seeing a lower high again, a third one, and price closed last week touching that lower high with some rejection candle formed in the process. So technically, we're looking at a bearish movement on the GBP JPY in the course of this week. And if we flip down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a rising wedge pattern, you know. Yeah, it's possible price may do some slight bullish movement, maybe to come to hit here, but ultimately we're expecting a breakout, in the downward direction. Yeah, it can still come downward and break out outrightly also, can be either ways. But all I'm waiting for is price breaking out below this lower trend line with our RSI clearly below 50, and we can trigger a sell on the GBP JPY. Now, this one is purely a swing trade, so it's strictly for those who trade swing. If you don't trade swing, please just stay out of this because GBJPY can actually be very volatile. So if you don't do swing or you don't have sufficient liquidity, kindly stay out of this specific one. But if it triggers and goes in the direction we anticipate, there's a potential for a huge profit, on this one. That could move as much as between 196 pips to about 300 pips in the course of this week. So if you're there this morning, you're a swing trader, you have sufficient liquidity, then you can watch out for this, as the week unfolds. So I'm bearish on the GBP JPY, and like I said, I'm equally bearish on the CHF JPY likewise. All right, I think I need to open a fresh page for the CHF JPY. All right, so this is the CHF JPY. Let's start from the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, we can clearly see that price hit a resistance zone. Okay, I think it's clear on the daily. Let's leave the weekly out. We start from here and possibly from that zone there. All right, so we can clearly see that price hit a resistance zone on the daily time frame on the CHF JPY, and on the 4-hour I'm seeing what looks a lot like the formation of a double top pattern, or maybe a head and shoulder. Okay, maybe we can call it a head and shoulder. Either ways, I just know it's a reversal pattern, and that is expected to lead to a bearish breakout on this instrument, except market condition changes, except that. But all things being equal, that's what I'm seeing at the moment. While this region here is the neckline region. So if price is able to, I think we should go to the line chart to see. Okay, you can see clearly on the line chart, it's actually forming what looks a lot like a double top pattern. Don't forget, double top is a letter M. Now, this things may look strange to some of us if we are new to trading, and that's why you need to attend our physical training sessions at PU Prime, which will hold twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, both at the Abuja and the Lagos office. I'll talk more about that as we round up the session. So we're seeing the double top pattern clearly here on the CHF JPY, and if price is able to break out below the neckline region, that will lead to a massive bullish movement on the CHF JPY, just like we saw on the GBP JPY. And profit potential again on this one too could be to the tune of between 79 pips to 147 pips, which is really not bad. So put your attention on this JPY pairs today and this week. Yeah, if you're there, you're a swing trader, and I'm sure if things go as planned, that could lead to quite some very good and good trading opportunity for you. All right, that will be all from my end this morning. Again, I'll do a recap of all the instruments I've analyzed, and you can take note of them. The primary aim of this is to give us direction, where price is expected to move in the course of the week. And the first, like I said, is the dollar index, where we still maintain a bullish outlook, and with that, we're looking for a bullish breakout on the USD CHF on the 4-hour time frame. And since the dollar is bullish, then we have a bearish outlook on the Euro USD. And for AUD card, we're bearish on 1 hour. This is purely intraday. In the course of today, we expect that to trigger. CHF JPY, we're bearish on 4 hour, and the GBP JPY, we are equally bearish on the 4 hour. So that'll be all from my end. I'll take a few questions and we'll round up the morning session. Oilawo is asking, card JPY, sir. Now, most of the JPY actually are going in the same direction, but notwithstanding, that doesn't mean you just dump all of them. No, you still need to properly analyze and know what is happening to each setup. So let's look at the card JPY from your request. Now, on the long term, I actually expect a bullish breakout on card JPY. You can see we have a falling wedge pattern. This is the falling wedge pattern. You can see I've I already have it all drawn out, and this is daily time frame. And we equally have a double bottom pattern here, which could lead to a bullish breakout. However, price hits the trend line here, and we can see some slight bearish movement on the card JPY. And if we look closely also, we'll discover that there is also a resistance level around that same region. So if you have, and what I'm saying is this, you have a descending trend line here with a resistance. Well, technically we should expect some bearish movement on the card JPY. So just like the other JPY pairs, I will hold a bearish outlook on the card JPY also. And don't forget that the last candle for Friday equally closed as a rejection candle. That's a doji. So technically this guy should still go down. So I'm bearish on the card JPY. Debbie is asking about BTC and gold. L Smart, GBP AUD. Okay, what else? Okay, GBP AUD as we did last one then. Okay, I'll look at that again. AUD JPY is bearish. That's for uh Rex Peters, gold, BTC gold. All right, so I think we'll look at BTC gold. We'll look at GBP. I think that's GBP AUD or GBP New Zealand. Which of them? GBP AUD. All right. So look at BTC Gold and GBP AUD. The reason why I decided to hold on that GBP AUD, some of us we jump into trades. Somebody will have a small account size and jump on a trade that is what's it called now? A very long term trade. And that's, sometimes people don't follow how these things work. They just follow what you say. The follower will say, not minding if some of those things work with their trading style or not. So, as also an analyst, we need to take caution, and that's why I purposely went quiet on that GBP AUD. All right, so this is BTC. Now, on BTC USD, price is actually trading at, this is the daily time frame. Price is trading at a critical level. There's a previous support. We have a support. Price broke it, became resistance. We saw some bearish movement. Price range around it again, broke out and returned to that previous resistance now as a support. So technically, we should be expecting some form of continuation. And aside that, if you remember last week, I was very keen on this resistance zone for BTC. I said if price is not able to break it, we'll have a bearish move. If it breaks it, we'll see a retest and a continuation. So everything is still very much intact. So we're still expecting that continuation, all things being equal. This is 1 hour, so we can look for entry opportunities in the bullish direction. Now we can't have a falling wedge here. We will just use a trend line. And most likely what might happen is we may see possibly an inverse head and shoulder build up, which may lead to a bullish breakout. So we still anticipate a bullish breakout, but that will be after price breaks above this upper trend line here with our RSI clearly above 50. That's when we can trigger a buy on BTC USD. So we're still very much bullish on the BTC USD. And for gold, now the long-term trend for gold can still be very dicey. In a way, we might be looking at some bullish movement, and we could as well see a bearish movement. But let's look at it critically. Well, for me, I would just want to wait and see further clarity on gold and not jump into anything. I can't find clarity on possibly a resistance or a support or any of the parameters I look out for. And I don't jump into analysis if I don't get clarity. So I'll just encourage you to wait patiently. Three things we do in trading: we buy, we sell, we wait. So we might be on the waiting spree on gold for now till there's much clarity. Yeah, it looks like we are seeing a falling wedge pattern, but then I need a corresponding support zone, which I'm not finding at the moment. We might just have to be patient. Don't worry, in the course of the day or the week, as we see clarity, we'll just let you know. This is looking like it's trying to form an inverse head and shoulder, but I'm not giving validity to it until I see some measure of clarity. So I want to wait on gold and see further clarity before I give my view. And that's for gold. All right, finally, I'll look at the GBP. I think the GBP AUD. All right, GBP AUD. All right, I did mention last month that we should get ready for a massive bearish breakout on the GBP AUD in the course of the month of May. And that's just the truth. And the truth is that it's not even only GBP AUD alone. There are quite some pairs that are ready for some long-term move. But like I said, I'm being cautious because of some of us. But then there's a view. This is GBP AUD on the monthly time frame. Price closed last month as a rejection candle on a resistance level. Technically, that's suggestive of a long-term bearish movement on the GBP AUD, for this month. And today is the 5th, so you can see from the 1st till now, we can see some slight bearish movement on that instrument. If we go down to the weekly, nothing much on the weekly. This is the daily time frame, and what we are having here, not so beautiful, but at least it looks a lot like a head and shoulder pattern, which will lead to a massive bearish breakout on the daily time frame. And the neckline of the head and shoulder has been broken. This is a neckline region. All right. So the candle of last Friday actually broke, closed the wick and broke the neckline region. Now that's on the daily, but however, we go down to 4 hour time frame, and on 4 hour we can see that RSI is completely oversold. Now, when price is oversold on 4 hour, it means we might be getting ready for price to retrace, possibly back to retest the trend line. So even though it's a long-term sell, it does not mean you can jump in into sell, and that's why I said I be purposely kept quiet to be cautious. We might see a retracement back. Yeah, apologies, we had a little network glitch, but I'm back. So we will likely see a retracement back to retest the trend line before we experience a final breakout. That's what I'm seeing could likely happen. But what is most important is that if price is able to break out below the recent low, and don't forget there's a minor support here. So we'll be looking for a new candle to open below this support zone to trigger a sell. Currently, we might see a retracement, then a breakout. If you want to pick an early entry, let's go down to the 4 hour again. If you want to take it as a swing trade, if price retraces back to test this previous trend line, which is the neckline region, and it forms maybe a double top or a head and shoulder, that can give you an early access to take a sell trade downwards. Otherwise, you might have to wait for price to break below that support zone. Well, I'll intimate us on this analysis with time. I might even post it generally in the groups just for educational purpose. Now, the question is this: oh, you have a little account. Can you trade this? Well, it's possible. You will not trade it on the chart as we are saying now. You will trade it based on your own time frame, using the bearish direction as the overall trend, meaning you can only look for opportunity to sell GAP AUD in the course of the month with your own strategy. So it has to be traded with a lot of caution. But generally, I still maintain my bearish outlook on the GBP AUD for the month of May. All right, that will be the end of our analysis this morning. If you're joining us for the first time, this is PU Prime. We're a global brand with our head office in Australia, and we have two offices in Nigeria, Abuja and Lagos. If you're there this morning, you do have an account with us, please head straight to our website at www.puprime.com to open a live trading account. There are a lot of things you can enjoy from our platform, which aside this analysis session, you can enjoy free signals. Though we rather encourage you to actually learn. Knowledge is very important, but as an added bonus, we do give signals. But then the requirement for getting into our signal group is that you have a verified funded account on this platform. So if you already have an account, then reach out to your account manager, fund your account, and you'll be added to the funded the signal group where you get constant signals. Our analysis session takes place twice in a day, 7 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Do you have CPA affiliate program? Of course we do. Just reach out to your account manager. They will guide you through on how to access that. And if you want to be a partner, meaning you refer people and you get commission on their trades, you can equally reach out to your account manager, to get started on that. And that, to be honest, can give you a lot of passive income in trading. See, when you talk about making money in the forex market, trading the market is one out of many other options. There's an option of partnership, and there's a CPA affiliate program that this person is asking. Though to be honest, the partnership is a lot easier to achieve than the CPA. But if the CPA is a choice, why not? It's available. And our two offices in Abuja, in Abuja and Lagos. Abuja office address is 50 a bit to Work and Connect building, 50 a bit to Kiwe Street, Jabi, Abuja, and Lagos is 54B Adeni Jones Avenue, Ikeja. Training session holds at these two locations twice in a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Abuja is 10:30 a.m. and Lagos is 11 a.m. So we want to see you at these locations tomorrow. If you're completely into trading, you want to learn how to trade, then you come to our training. Is the training free? Well, technically, I'll say yes, but then you are required to have a live funded account. It's very important. So we're not charging you for the training, and the funds you put in your account is what you will trade with by yourself. All right, we'll end the analysis session here. We'll see you again by 12:30 p.m. this afternoon. Take care and have a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Madam Omotosho, good morning. Been a long time.